Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you a recipe for my curry coconut pumpkin soup. Now I think this is a fantastic recipe for this time of year. I mean, it does incorporate pumpkin, which we love around the holidays and fall season, but I also think it's got such lovely flavors that it could stand on its own and being a main course at a dinner party or a first course at like a Friendsgiving or something like that. It's just really good and it requires a handful of ingredients and I adore it. So let me run you through them really quickly. What I have here is some pumpkin puree. Now I'll talk about this in just a minute. I've got some roughly chopped onions and garlic, some stock, veggie stock is great, chicken stock, whatever you want. Full fat coconut milk, and this is some Indian curry powder. I also have a little salt and I've got some olive oil. Now, in an ideal world, if you live in a wonderful big city, you could probably get your hands on some fresh pumpkin. If I could, I'd have to drive 45 minutes to a grocery store to get that, which I'm not going to do on an everyday basis. I think, you know, the big pumpkins that you carve around Halloween, I don't like to cook with those. They're very fibrous, they're not meant for cooking, so I don't use those. You typically would look for something called a sugar pumpkin or a smaller pumpkin that are meant to be cooked and eaten. But when I can't find those, then my best bet and your best bet is to just use pure pumpkin puree. You can just buy it in a can. It's really inexpensive and it does a great job. However, if you are using fresh pumpkin, it would work just as well, if not better. And you can also use butternut squash if you want to use a fresh squash instead of pumpkin puree. So the world is your pickle, my friend. You do you. I have given you the option. But if you want to put this thing together in less than 30 minutes using some canned pumpkin you already have on hand, then you're in business because it works just as well with that as well. All right, got my little pot here with some olive oil. I'm going to add my onion and garlic. I am just going to cook these together until they develop some color and just kind of break down a bit, trying to break up the onion. I didn't cut the onion in too small of a chunk because it doesn't matter. It's going to simmer and then we're going to puree it anyway. But I do want these to develop a little bit of color, but mainly just to soften and release their sweetness. This looks so good. Okay, I'm going to add my curry powder now. When it comes to curry powder, there's mild, there's spicy, so you're going to have to totally gauge how much you want to add depending on how mild or spicy your curry powder is. Mine is a mild curry powder. That's just what I prefer. That way I can adjust the heat level if I want to. And these days, some days I want really hot food, some days I want mild. So I like the option that I can choose. I love also to let the curry powder sizzle in that oil for a minute. I feel like it really wakes up the spices. Oh, and it smells insanely good. So wonderful. Okay, now I'm gonna add the pumpkin puree. Just make sure you buy pure pumpkin puree and not pumpkin pie filling. I have done that once or twice and it's not the same thing. And then you're just gonna add your liquids. Your stock, it can be veggie or it can be chicken. It's up to you. And your coconut milk. Full fat, please. And then just kind of break that up a bit. You can see it already has just gorgeous color. I'm going to season this after, once this is done, and I can give it a taste for seasoning. But at this point, all you need to do is put a lid on and let this simmer for about 25 minutes or so. Curry powder can tend to be very grainy, so it takes a while for it to break down a bit. So give it time, don't rush it. It's going to be perfection, and that's really it. I mean, it's minimal ingredients, but the ingredients that you're using are packed with flavor and they go so well together. So it's just like perfect harmony when you eat this soup. It feels like it's been simmering forever with lots of different stuff, but in reality, it's simple and easy and pretty much really quick. So I'm going to put a lid on and simmer it for about 25 minutes and show you what it looks like when it's finally where we want it. My soup simmered for 25 minutes. I just turned the heat off. I'm going to season it with some salt to taste. Make sure you taste it before you go ahead and season. I've already done that. And now I'm going to puree it. You can puree it in your blender or you can use one of these, which is an immersion blender. So that's what I'm going to use until it's all pretty much nice and smooth. Oh, and I guess it would help if I had it plugged in. I'm going to plug it in and then I'm going to puree this until smooth. Looks wonderful. You can thin it out if you want to, but I think this is perfect. And then what I like to do for topping, right? I like to take just a little bit more of the coconut milk that I had left over, because you're not going to use a whole can. I like to just swirl that on top, and then just top it with a few toasted pumpkin seeds, shelled of course, and then a little fresh cilantro as well, which is in the fridge, but I'm not going to go get that right now because I'm impatient and I'm greedy. But that is so wonderful. It smells so great. This would, like I said, would be a great starter, or it would be a great main with like a fall pizza or something. and something stuck in my throat. Just something like that for a really fun dinner party. I'm gonna give this a go. It smells so good. Oh, that's so wonderful. That is so wonderful. That is money. It's like creamy, perfectly spiced, but like I said, that's going to depend on the kind of curry powder you're using. So just keep tasting it. If you feel like it needs more, use more, or if you know your kind of curry powder, you might want to use a little bit less, but this is perfect for me. I love it so much, and I think you will too. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the written recipe. I love how the coconut like mellows out the spice. It's so great. Anyway, the recipe is waiting for you. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.